Well, it's time for one last video about Stormgate. Just recently, Frost Giant's financial data was made public, and to put it bluntly, the situation is grim. Today I'll walk you through how a small indie studio with big dreams burned through over $30 million, launched one of the most undercooked RTS games in recent history, and now seems to be on the verge of bankruptcy. Will it be able to make a comeback, or is it finally over? Let's start with the numbers. Last year, many speculated that Frost Giant was running out of money, and that's likely why they rushed to release the game in early access. That speculation now looks spot on. The company started generating revenue in 2024, but it's still operating at a massive loss. Their cash reserves are nearly depleted, and debt has climbed significantly. Without a major boost in investment or revenue, the company's financial outlook is, to put it mildly, deeply concerning. Operational costs, just salaries and office rent, hit around 8 million. Add other expenses, and the total losses for the year come to around 11 million. At the end of 2024, the studio had about 7 million left. By the start of 2025, well, just 25,000. That's not much. I recently played through the newest campaign, and it was a noticeable improvement over the launch version. But let's be real, the game is still very much in early development. The campaign is not complete, and player count hovers around 100 and sometimes even fewer. What's funny is that the developers once claimed they had enough funding to reach full release, and apparently they were referring to the mess that dropped in the summer 2024.
What the fuck is this piece of shit?
And given their current burn rate and mounting debt, there is just no way Stormgate will make it to version 1.0 without major compromises or another rushed launch. Sure, they might get saved by a major investor or acquisition, but based on the state of the game, well, that's a long shot. However, according to the recent news, they still managed to attract some additional investments, which is quite nice, but this still puts them on the clock to deliver a great release. One of Frost Giant's CEOs, Tim Morton, voluntarily slashed his salary from $250k a year to just $1. Respectable? Sure. But it won't be enough to save the company from its operational costs. At this point, only a miracle can save it from fading into obscurity before its official launch. You might ask, why hasn't the studio shut down already? Perhaps they want to at least finish the product to avoid completely tarnishing their reputation. Let's talk about how things got to where we are. Stormgate's story is basically a case of don't count your chickens before they hatch. From day one, the PR team made misstep after misstep, expectations were sky high, and the game failed to deliver on just about every front. First off, the campaign. Oh boy, at launch it was a disaster. Awkward cutscenes, a storyline that felt like a knockoff of Warcraft 3, weak mission design and bad character models. Everything felt rushed. People were banking on the campaign to carry the game, but it was a major letdown. And with only 6 missions, all of which were behind the paywall, it just wasn't worth it. The co-op mod had potential but was also painfully unfinished. You had to pay for the majority of heroes and the mission variety was limited, and core game design issues made the experience frustrating. The multiplayer is probably the game's strongest mode, but even that couldn't escape the rough state of the overall package. The gameplay was fun, sure, but balance issues persisted, and compared to other games like StarCraft 2, Stormgate just couldn't compete, and StarCraft 2 is also free to play, just like Stormgate. In the end, all 3 game modes were half-baked. Maybe if they just focused on polishing one mode, like multiplayer first, things could have been different. Instead, they launched with microtransactions, skins and paid heroes, and as we know from the financial report, these were vital just to keep the company afloat, but the most tragic part, they were warned about that, over and over. Take the game's visual design for example. It turned away a lot of casual players, and when I first played the beta, I actually liked the gameplay, it was fast and fun, but getting past the visuals was quite rough. The art style lacked identity, it felt like a strange blend of mobile, cartoon graphics and, StarCraft, Warcraft and maybe a bit of Overwatch. Copying another games isn't inherently bad, but if you're going to copy a genre titan, you'd better do it at least as well, if not better. Compare that to Tempest Rising, a spiritual successor to Command & Conquer. It's clearly inspired by CNC, but it looks amazing. Stormgate just didn't hit the mark. Players didn't connect with the look, or feel it at all. Visuals aside, the game lacks soul, it's not memorable. Campaign characters don't evoke emotion or empathy, they feel flat and 6 missions isn't enough time to start caring about them. Unit designs felt like knockoff StarCraft units, at least some of them, and combat effects lacked impact. You could barely tell what was happening on screen, and it didn't really feel epic or intense. Another major issue is optimization. Stormgate ran poorly on many systems despite looking pretty average. Even StarCraft 2, a much older game, performed better and looked cleaner. Their PR strategy was another disaster. Throughout development, Frost Giant hyped up Stormgate as a AAA RTS meant to replace StarCraft and other games. They set impossibly high expectations, and inevitably that became the reason for countless jokes that followed.
You were the chosen one! I hate you!
They ignored widespread criticism, especially about the visuals. Their overly positive attitude came off as sometimes blind to many problems the game had, and it started to annoy the few fans they had left. Just take a look at Reddit. Last year, someone even used their financial reports to predict the studio's collapse, and developers shut it down as wildly inaccurate. Well, to be fair, Frost Giant is still alive, but barely. Were they really that inaccurate then? Another controversial scandal happened when developers were just writing fake positive reviews of their own game. When caught, they claimed it wasn't malicious and they just liked their own game. Well, I don't know, they later changed their Steam usernames to hide their connection to the company, and while they were spreading this forced positivity, mods on Reddit and Discord were deleting negative feedback, at least until it became too overwhelming to ignore. And for Kickstarter backers, the worst offense might be how the budget was spent. Expensive voice actors for co-op characters and 2 CEOs earning a combined $500,000 a year for a startup with little revenue, that's quite excessive. Most CEOs in this space take stock options and modest salaries until the product actually makes money. While it's understandable that both teams deserve a very high salary, it was a bold move since Stormgate has been struggling from day one. And in my opinion, that's the core problem with Stormgate. It's not really a bad game, but they just tried to do everything at once and ended up with nothing basically. Sure, the game has improved recently, but I fear it's too late to fix the mistakes of the past, especially if they don't acquire enough funding for future development. The funeral might come this year, which is a shame because for all its flaws, Stormgate had potential and somewhat of a cool vision. Still, they were even planning to release a unique team mode this year, a creative blend of MOBA and RTS with hero units. Whether we'll see it or not, the time will tell. And that's it for today. If you like this video, check out my deep dive on competitive strategy games and why they are not for everyone. Thanks for watching and see you next time.